Hello, everyone, and inside today's Locked On Canadiens, I'm mad, very, very mad at this team as they are currently losing 4-0 to Tampa Bay. I'm going to break down what I've seen, what needs to be done, and address some of the trade rumors surrounding the Edmonton Oilers. All that and more inside today's show.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 950 of Locked On Canadiens. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to match $100 on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. We are, of course, your daily Montreal Canadiens podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you get your team every single day of the week. And if you were wondering, Scott, you're recording this. Maybe it's a little bit earlier. You said in the intro you're recording this. The game's not over yet, and you absolutely would be correct. I am recording this before the game is over. It is currently 4-0. It has been 4-0 since the 9-minute mark of the first period. The Canadiens are playing terribly, to be very quite honest with you. And I wanted to go and just get the raw emotion of what I am feeling about this game right now, and that they may come back in this game and win, as small and slim a chance as that might be. And that might make me look like an idiot. But guess what? Then we all get to laugh at these clips on the internet, and I get to issue a mea culpa in the next episode, and everybody gets to laugh and everybody has a good time. I don't think the Canadiens are going to do that because they came out, allowed a goal 22, 24 seconds into this game, and then just wilted into nothingness, into the hockey version of space dust that it is just out there in the universe. It exists. We know the Montreal Canadiens exist as a concept. On the ice, defense exists as a concept. Does it exist in practice or practicality or things happening? No, apparently not. Jake Allen before this game was awarded the Molson Cup and then allowed 4 goals on 9 shots. Were they all his fault? No. And we will get to part of where this terrible start came from. But oh my good God, am I sick and tired of this, of what is happening with this team right now. I have never not been aware that this team going into this year was still a rebuilding Montreal Canadiens team. I was not expecting them to be playing at a playoff level pace all season long. I know they are going to lose games and will continue. And I knew they were going to continue to lose games this season. What I cannot stomach is a team losing without a direction and just looking lost out there. The Canadiens started this season pretty good. They went into this last stretch. They were 5-3-2 or 5-3-1, whatever it might be. And they looked honestly a pretty quality team. Perfect? No, but a pretty decent 5-on-5 team with some special teams issues, which again, like I've said how many times on the show, stay out of the box and maybe fix the power play just a teeny bit. Power play is middle of the league. Okay, cool, fine, acceptable. The regression has happened from there where they are now playing their third straight game against a team coming off a back-to-back situation. They played against Arizona, they played against St. Louis, and they played now against Tampa Bay. Tampa played an OT game in Toronto last night. Obviously, St. Louis was coming off a game and Arizona was coming off a game. In all 3 of these games where the Canadiens are coming in as a rested team, one of them, this one at home, the other 2 were on the road, so travel days and etc., but they get there a day ahead of time regardless. They are the rested team in these situations. They are not playing like the rested team in these situations. And yes, you know, a team like Tampa that is coming off blowing a 4-1 lead to Toronto and then losing in overtime last night is probably going to want to strike quick. So what's the one thing you do? You got to maybe play it a little bit safer. You got to play smart right off the bat because you know Tampa Bay is going to be coming right at you. And what did they do? They just imploded upon themselves, and there wasn't a pushback. There was nothing. There was just standing there. Mike Matheson is playing defense in his mind only. And I like Mike Matheson, and we will get to him in our next segment. But it was unacceptable because then another goal, and then a power play goal, and then another goal. It's 4-0. And at no point did Martin St. Louis call timeout. After that third goal, call timeout, figure out what is going on, give your guys a break to assess the situation that where you are at right now. And if you cannot do that, then you need to get someone in there who will. And I'm not saying to fire Martin St. Louis. I like Martin St. Louis, and I think he's a very good coach for what this team needs right now. But one of the other guys on that bench has to be like, we need to call timeout. We need to kind of get things together here. And in the second period, the Canadiens seem to look like a better team there. I'm assuming the period has started again here. I haven't taken a look to see if they have scored or been scored on yet, but no, nothing yet. Good. Means this is still a podcast that is, I guess, no, not relevant. Anyways, doesn't matter. Is the biggest fact of the matter is I am tired of watching this team come out like this. They are on a back-to-back. You were coming out in on a losing streak. You have something to prove. It is your first game back at home after, I think, 2 weeks on the road, or 2 weeks worth of games on the road. And you are coming in and playing like this. And that is abysmal. I can stomach losing a game in which they are competitive. The Toronto game stings, but they were competitive and lost in a shootout. Vegas, they were the better team, lost in a shootout. I can stomach a loss like that in a rebuilding season. I will accept games where they are competitive, where they have something to give. In a game like this, giving up 4 goals in just over 9 minutes isn't giving anything except loser energy. And that's not what this team needs. And yes, Kirby Dach is injured. And yes, David Savard is injured. And they are young. And yes. At a certain point, you have to have some pride. And they played better in the second period. The chances are there. They're making smart plays. They don't have the finish. But they were lucky to maybe not have given up another 2 goals in that second period and be down 6-0. Montembeault's doing his best. Some of the veterans, guys like Monahan and Gallagher, are trying their best. The first line looks decent, just to prove that I am not just a heartless person coming in here to dump on this team that I cover and that I love. I want to highlight the good things, but I would be remiss to act like a game like this happening being a good thing. And it is not. It's not the end of the world. It is not going to be the end of the line. Oh my God, they're never going to win again. The tank is... They're going to be tanking. They're going to be, the Sharks. They're going to lose to the Sharks. Oh my God, Ken Hughes doesn't know. I'm not panicking like that. I'm just frustrated because this year we've seen the Canadiens can play better hockey than they are right at this exact moment. I don't know where that off switch went because against Vegas, they were hammering them. And I mean, they were a damn good team against Vegas, the better team against Vegas by a lot. And now you're playing like this against a tired Tampa Bay team who is not the Tampa Bay team of old. They are not an invincible juggernaut. Yes, they can score goals, but the defense isn't what it was. They're playing a guy who has 2 NHL games to his name and spent a little bit of time in the AHL, I believe. This is a game where you should be showing that you are better than what you showed last week. And they are not doing that right now. And it's not going to get any easier. Detroit is upcoming, one of the top scoring teams in the league. Boston, off to the best franchise start in team history. And then the Vancouver Canucks, who are single-handedly trying to get everybody on the Oilers either fired or traded. And we will touch on that later on in the show too. You can be better than this. And the fans know you can be better than this. And the analysts know you can be better than this. And the dudes yelling into a podcast microphone like myself know you can be better than this, which is why when you come out and you lay an egg like you have tonight, that everybody gets upset because you can be better than this. And that's all I want to do is I want to see that. I will handle you losing games if you're competitive. Coming out with whatever this was tonight is not that. And I'm upset about it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And there's a big reason why I think this team is struggling right now, and it goes right back to their number one defenseman. We're going to touch on what's wrong with Mike Matheson and everything coming up in our next segment. But first, passion, drive, and patience is what brings home a winning trophy. It is also what keeps your ride or die vehicle alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. You want new floor mats? Go get more floor caps. You can get whatever you're looking for at eBay Motors, whether you're into speed, power, or style. They have you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die vehicle, you will always find exactly what you are looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die vehicle alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is available only to United States customers. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Sleeper, and every NHL season can bring all sorts of possibilities. We're hoping Cole Caulfield can score 50 goals in Montreal. We'd love to see the Canadiens hoist the Stanley Cup again. Number 24 should be coming. 25. I should know that. I'm a better host than that. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy hockey app of Locked On NHL Network. And it's our number one choice because you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Connor McDavid's got to snap out of it sooner or later, right? Do you want to bet on him to win 100 times your money? Why not? And if you don't want to bet on hockey day-to-day, you can do the NFL, the MLB, NBA, college football, all on Sleeper right now. All you have to do is pick some of those star players in the league. If they will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. Canadians' offense is struggling. Bet on goalies to get those saves in there right now. And to win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Habs fans. You can win 100 times your money by playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention, nail your picks so you can start winning big. Just use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. We are back here at Locked On Canadiens. I am your host. I am Scott Matla. I am getting short on breath because I have been ranting and raving about what has been a very, very bad start to this Canadiens Tampa Bay Lightning game. As I said, it is going on still, but I had much more pertinent things to talk about, namely how bad this team is playing right now and why it is so maddeningly frustrating. And we have talked about, we know they can be better. And one of the biggest pieces among this, more than Kirby Dach being injured, is that Mike Matheson does not look right on the ice. Against the Blues, he was on ice for 4 goals against. He was on the ice for all 4 goals that Tampa Bay scored in the first period in this game. It's not just, he's, a guy who's there covering his guy and the goal goes in. He's making mistakes, and he's making stupid mistakes, and he's making mistakes where he is just not tracking plays in the defensive zone. And I know there's always been that risk element with Mike Matheson's game. It was one of the things we were told about him when they traded for him. It was the same thing. It was the same thing we saw with Jeff Petrie year after year, is that he will make so many good plays, but when he screws up, it is not a little mistake. When they screw up, puck usually in the net, not a good thing, not what you usually want. And it's the thing with it is he's not making up for it in other areas. His stick handling, his ability to read and process plays, his play in the offensive zone especially is detrimental beyond belief. In that I watch him make plays, or I shouldn't even say make plays because that would, require forward progress, attempt to make plays, and they're just not happening. He looks completely bewildered out there. Simple plays just, aren't happening. He's still got the skating and the edge work and everything, but you can't hold on to the puck. He is not passing in the right area. He's just not making smart decisions between the ears. And it's a problem for a guy who plays it with speed and agility, where everything is processing. And you got to be quick. And he's just not there. He's just not there where he needs to be. And it's so frustrating because just like this team, I know he can be better. And the thing is, in some of these games, after the first period, he never should have seen the ice again. Put him on the bench. He's not playing well. Let guys like Caden Gooley and Jonathan Kovacevic and Jordan Harris and Arbor Jacki take those minutes and learn. They're going to learn more in hard minutes than Mike Matheson is going to be out there spinning around doing nothing. And I think the biggest thing is here, and I know it is hard because David Savard is out and the option is Gustav Lindstrom in the lineup. You have to rest him. Something is very clearly not right with Mike Matheson. And if he's playing through an injury that isn't so severe that it requires him to be on IR or whatever it might be, it doesn't matter because I don't think this is a better option for him than taking a couple games in the press box. And yes, it will suck because they will not have a true veteran on the defense. And I think the most veteran guy back there with Matheson potentially out would be Jonathan Kovacevic. Not ideal. I get it. But for longer term success and to find this team to get it to the next level, you need Mike Matheson to be at his best. And he's trying things. He is trying to make high risk plays and high reward plays. And that I'm about. I will always be here for that. I love to see players do that. Take those risks and go for it. When you're not finding success and it's very clear that you're just lacking in the defensive zone, you're struggling with assignments and making plays, you as a coach have to make the hard decision. I'd rather see guys like Jacki and Barron and Gooley learn in a trial by fire than watching Matheson struggle while potentially playing through an injury. And we know that he was day-to-day after the one game there. He came back, played against Vegas. And since he was day-to-day, his play has just dropped off a cliff. Last year, everyone who played with Matheson seemed to get better and better and better. This year, anyone who plays with Matheson gets worse and worse and worse. And therein lies the problem. Your top defenseman shouldn't be hampering your young defensive core with his play. David Savard, we know what he is. He is a defensive defenseman. He is there to absorb shots, clear pucks, clear the front of the net. I know. Matheson is made to be more of a guy who generates chances and generates things on the other side of the ice. And if he's not doing that and he's struggling to do that and he's hampering other players from doing that, put him in the press box for a few games. Something is not right here. I don't know how anyone can look at what Mike Matheson is doing right now after what he did last year and go, yeah, no, things are fine. Things are not fine. Things are the opposite of fine at this point. And I don't want to dump on the guy because I like Mike Matheson. I do. It's the exact same thing that I say about Josh Anderson is that I like these players. I like what they bring to this team, but when they are struggling, it is noticeable because they are unplayable. Anderson is struggling to get goals in the net right now. Doesn't really fit on a line, sticks out like a sore thumb. Matheson seems to be on the ice every single time a goal goes in. And it's just time to rest him. It comes with the rebuilding. There are tough things that have to be tough decisions to be made. They won't. They should, at least in some of these games, limit his ice time. If you're going to give him power play time, give him secondary minutes. Let Caden Gooley eat minutes. Let Caden Gooley eat, basically, is what I'm saying. He's proven that he can be a very good defenseman this year. Let him take some of those minutes. Let Matheson play, lesser minutes, get some rest a little bit in game, and because I guess playing 27 minutes a night is probably not the best thing in the world for him. I just want Matheson to go back to being that guy that he was. I see what he's trying to do, but nothing is working for him. He is a guy fighting for his life out there on every shift. Simple errors that he wasn't making last year. Those are things that they need to work on and fix immediately, or this team's going to struggle even more this year. The schedule is only going to get harder. Like I said, their next 3 games are going to be it's going to be an absolutely brutal slog. There's good teams. There's great teams in there. And I'm just going to try and do a quick check here to see if there is a score here. And nope, the Habs are back on another power play, and I am not anticipating much of that there. So currently still 4-0 in Montreal. We're going to head into our final segment because the trade rumors are a boiling, and I'm going to get into all of that coming up next. But you can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Friends with the NFL and us here at Locked On, because right now new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. It's so easy to use. You can bet on things like the spread, player props, over-unders, and more, all in an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. And if you're like me, watching the Bills suffer here and you're betting the under every week because Ken Dorsey's offense is terrible, you can collect your winnings when they continue to disappoint you on Sundays. Go buy more chicken wings like I would. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and us here at Locked On. And I am also here to remind you, please bet responsibly anytime you're betting on sports. We're going to get into the final segment here because it is silly season here. And 'tis no place sillier than Edmonton, Alberta right now. The Oilers are 2-8-1 to start the season. What's their excuse? Well, the goaltending's terrible. And I don't mean just bad. There was a stat today, and I don't know who put this out, so I apologize. But the stat is the Vegas Golden Knights this year have a higher winning percentage, I believe it's 0.865, than the Oilers have save percentage, 0.861. Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner have been abysmal for the Edmonton Oilers this year. So much so, Jack Campbell was put on waivers today, Tuesday at 2 p.m., with the eye to send him to Bakersfield, to the Condors, to, and I quote from Frank Seravalli, try and rediscover his game. They have recalled goaltender Cale Pickard, which is just deck chairs on a Titanic, I am pretty sure. With Campbell going to the AHL, it immediately, they just lit that Molotov and just chucked it into the dynamite factory, because the Habs are carrying 3 goalies and everyone knows they're looking to trade somebody. And that person, I assume, is probably going to be Jake Allen, because coming into tonight, Jake Allen had a .927 save percentage. He is down to a .904 after this game, which is still better than anything the Oilers have iced at any point in the last 18 months. Let's say the last 9 months of their NHL hockey playing career. And everyone's like, well, what can they trade down? They don't have any cap space. And that is correct. To facilitate a trade to the Oilers without Canadiens taking on a bunch of forwards that they don't have room for right now, because they don't have a lot of guys they can send to the AHL, save for Slavkovsky, or waiving guys like Pezzetta, Yolonen, etc., is taking on Jack Campbell's contract. And I believe there are 2 or 3 more years left at $5 million on that deal. To take on a contract like that with a goaltender who has not played well, I'm going to go look up what Jack Campbell's numbers have been the last couple years in the NHL here. Let me see here. Elite prospects. There we go, because this is the easiest way to look everything up for it. So Jack Campbell last year had an .888 save percentage. He was 21-9-4. He had a .961 in the playoffs, but he played 4 games, only got 1 win out of that. This year he has an .873 save percentage. He's 1-4, 4.5 goals against in 5 games. 36 games last year. And before that, .914, .922 with, hey, the Canadiens scored. Nick Suzuki scored with 13 minutes left. He's a guy that I think looks a lot better because of teams, which feels very weird that Toronto was a team providing him good defensive cover. I'm not shocked by LA. That's always kind of been their thing. Jake Allen going the other way, $3.85 million, which means Campbell's would come back this way. And my first thought with that is, okay, those are your 2 key focal points there. Is Jake Allen will go the other way. The Canadiens will likely not add anything to this trade, because they are taking on the biggest risk, the biggest assumed risk, and the biggest albatross of a contract in Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell's contract sucks, and Jack Campbell has not been a good goalie. To take on that deal, remember, the Canadiens got a first-round pick for taking on the final year of Sean Monahan's Calgary Flames deal. 1 year, and they got a first-round pick out of it. There are multiple years left on this Jack Campbell albatross of a contract for a goaltender who does not appear to have it together right now. on a team that will be rebuilding. So the non-starter for this is that the Canadiens are going to ask for a first-round pick, an unprotected first-round pick in there, and more. Is that Dylan Holloway? Is that Raphael Lavoie? Is that Xavier Bourgault? It's up in the air, but those are the three names that I'm looking that you are adding to that contract and a first-round pick for Montreal to take on that deal. The Canadiens might have to balance a little bit, and I would also ask the Oilers, you are retaining, some of this salary here, because the Oilers want to get rid of this contract because it is not working. It is sinking their core at this exact moment in time, where you have two of the best players in the NHL right now. You have the team that should be competing for a Stanley Cup every year. And because you cannot get a say, because one, you hitched your wagon to Mike Smith for part of Connor McDavid's prime, and then went with this, with Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell, and everyone told you it was going to be a bad deal. And everyone looks at it and goes, hindsight. Jack Campbell's time as a good NHL goalie was over the minute Brendan Gallagher scored that muffin goal in Game 7 in 2021. If you don't believe me, well, you weren't paying enough attention. That was it. Jack Campbell was not the star goalie in that series. Carey Price was, obviously. And you couldn't read between the lines that this wasn't worth it. And Kyle Dubas, I believe, famously said the difference between Matt Murray and Jack Campbell is term. And Jack Campbell got 5 years. Woof, to say the least there. And I think Jake Allen is very likely to be the guy who's going the other way. But unless Edmonton is adding a ton of incentive, I mean just like opening up the sugar bucket and just dumping powdered sugar all over that contract in terms of first-round pick, prospects, etc., I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. The Canadiens' goaltending hasn't been all world, but compared to what the Oilers have done this year, the three goalies the Canadiens have look like prime Hasek, Waugh, and Brodeur in net. It's that bad. I'm curious what you folks would want how you would kind of work out the trade there, because it's very clear the Oilers have to get rid of a big contract, and Jack Campbell is that contract to have the cap space to allow Jake Allen to come in. Because only saving 1.15 against the cap now because of you can only bury that much in the minors, so they're still on the hook for $3+ million off his deal. Unless someone claims him, which if someone claims Jack Campbell, then forget about it. We can revisit this whole trade thing afterwards. We'll find that out tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. when the waiver wire announcements go out. What would you do in a trade for Jack Campbell? Would you trade for Jack Campbell at all if it meant trading Jake Allen right now? Would you just keep Jake Allen until we get closer and closer to the deadline? Tweet us at LO_Canadiens, LockedOnCanadiens@gmail.com. You can tweet myself at Scott Metla. I'm around all week. As always, tell your friends we're available wherever you get your daily podcasts, Google, Apple, Spotify, or if you're watching my shining face on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow. Might have a special guest. Got to plan that out. But we will be back, and we will let you know, and we will see you all next time.